creating content that your brand can just naturally fit into, or do they have to like change their behavior or change their style of content to incorporate your brand? It's slightly changing now, especially with like ads getting so bad.
You need to be thinking with creators about what incentivizes them beyond just money.
In terms of CAC just rising and rising and rising, and being more competitive, more saturated, there's more people bidding on the same keywords and blah blah blah. I think people are forced to almost look at it now in a different light.
It's actually insane that people are not talking about this more.
Today's guest is Yash Chavan, founder and CEO of Saral. Saral is the platform helping some of the fastest growing DTC brands build predictable, long-term creator communities. Yash has worked with thousands of brands, built frameworks that actually scale, and is reshaping how modern companies think about influencers.
What a brand-owned creator community is in practical terms. What is the sort of fundamental core here of how to treat creators? What is the predictable influence pyramid? What is your secret to scaling? 99% of brands in e-commerce right now are not doing what we are going to talk about today. It's actually insane that people are not talking about this more on X, more on LinkedIn. To me, it actually blows my mind because we've talked about these kinds of concepts before, renting versus owning. And today I have Yash Chavan on from Saral to talk all about that. Yash, welcome to the podcast.
I am very pumped to do this. I know we've spoken about these topics so many times in our private conversations. So let's have a public one and share it with the world. So I'm pumped.
Absolutely. So really fun. I have actually advised Yash for I don't even know if the better part of on and off for the better part of the last year-ish. Yeah. Somewhere in there, just so everyone sort of understands my track record right now is yesterday I just had my third advisory client within the year get acquired. So Yash, you are next. So just so you have an idea.
Yep, exactly.
For people who don't know anything about you or anything that Saral does, give us just a little hint about who you are and what you do.
Yeah, well, I'm Yash Chavan. I'm the founder at Saral. Saral is an influencer marketing platform that basically helps brands build influencer programs in a structured way that makes them predictable as opposed to feeling like a gamble, which is what most influencer programs tend to be. So that's what we do, long story short. And then we help brands build communities, which we'll talk about. We help brands get on social commerce shops and things like that. It's like an end-to-end platform that just helps you do everything with influencers.
Awesome. And guys, I am a big Saral fan. I mean, that's why we're having this conversation. You guys have probably seen, me talk about this in the newsletter, on LinkedIn, all of that kind of stuff. Let's get into what a brand-owned creator community is in practical terms, right? Like, I think that we've gone from this sort of idea, right? I think in 2021, I mean, even previous to that, we realized the difference in owned versus rented, right? I remember I first understood the difference in owned versus rented when we started our very first brand. Actually, it wasn't my very first brand. My very first brand was a hoverboard brand, and I didn't do any organic social. But when we started our very first baby brand, right? This is before all of the other stuff that I did. We actually were huge on Instagram. And by huge, I mean 50 to 100,000 followers. But at the time that was huge because that was an incredible channel. Every single time you'd post, you'd get sales organically. It was incredible. And then I remember the algorithm changed and I was like, oh shit. Like what do I do? That's when I knew I always want to own whatever community this is. I want to own it, right? Like I don't want someone else talking to me. Walk me through what that looks like for a creator community, because I don't think anybody's thinking about this right now. Though I see a lot more stuff on Twitter about people talking about this.
Yeah, I think it's slightly changing now with people, especially with like ads getting so bad in terms of CAC just rising and rising and rising, and being more competitive, more saturated. There's more people bidding on the same keywords and blah blah blah. I think people are forced to almost look at it now in a different light. But then I think generally speaking, any mature marketing program, in my opinion, what we've seen, and I'm sure you've seen this too, is they go from paid to earned to owned eventually, regardless of influencers or creators and whatnot. I think you would start off with some sort of like a paid performance marketing program. You then earn your audience. So now you have like your followers, your organic social, and so on. And then you move to owned, because over time you build like an email list or you build a creator community and so on. So I think that's just a general trend that we see. Any good marketing program layers starts with paid, layers on earned media, layers on owned media. And I think for DDC in particular, right now, communities of creators are really under leveraged. Even brands that do influencer marketing don't really think about it, don't have this as their North Star. They have some other North Star, like number of posts or affiliate revenue or something like that. But if you look at it and start with a community mindset where you have this owned community, what owned influencer communities means is you just have direct relationships with creators with cumulatively millions of followers. So essentially what you have is, instead of, like in your case, you built your own brand and your own organic following, which is great, but the algo doesn't favor that anymore. It favors real, authentic human beings creating content for their audiences that's entertaining, engaging, educational, and so on. You can have relationships as a brand with these creators, and then they can have the communities. So you're basically having a community of the people who have much larger communities. So you almost have like this multiplier effect. So what I mean by owned influencer communities is direct relationships with even it doesn't even have to be that huge, like 50 to 100 influencers with 10K followers each, and you have reach in millions just available on your fingertips, right? So that's the concept.
So I want to bring up an interesting principle here, right? For people who listen to this podcast, I mean, there's tens of thousands of people that have listened to this podcast, if not more than that. And you'll probably know that I really try and bake things back to like, what is the sort of fundamental core here of how to treat creators? And I want to go through this for 1 second, because I think that this is really important, Yash. And it's this. It's the story of the goose and the golden egg, right? So, one time this farmer, he realizes that he has this goose, and the goose is laying these golden eggs. And he's like, oh my gosh, this is incredible. This is incredible. And so he decides, he's like, oh, there must be a ton of golden eggs inside this goose. So he kills the goose to get to all the golden eggs and realizes there's no golden eggs inside of the goose. And so I think about this with creator communities, right? And I think that this is what basically every single brand is getting wrong right now. There's very few that really understand this. And I think about Social Commerce Club, and I'm like, why have we been successful when others haven't? Well, we sell to creators, right? And we care about the creators, right? Even if they're annoying. Like, let's be honest, guys. There's a lot of creators that are really annoying. They're not business people. They're like, I don't know, creators drive me insane. And yet they are the goose, right? And so taking care of the goose and caring about the goose is your creator community, and it's how you create them. That's where the golden eggs are going to come from, right? It's from that creator community.
Correct. Yes, totally agree. And the good thing is you don't have to have one goose. You get to have hundreds of geese, right? And then you just
hundreds of geese. Yes. Yes.
Exactly.
Yes. Yes.
So unlike the farmer, you have a lot more leverage on your hands as a DTC founder. So yeah.
Absolutely. Walk me through your predictable influence pyramid. Walk me through the numbers. What is the predictable influence pyramid?
Yes. So I think the thesis and why we came up with this is a lot of influencer programs. We spoke with, probably like 5,000 brands at this point, right? 3 years almost into building the company and the platform. Most brands hate it when influencer programs just feel like it's random. Like you're working with some creators, you paid a few creators, or you sent some free products and few people posted, nothing really moved the needle. Influencer programs traditionally feel very random and unpredictable. We wanted to come up with a framework that helped brands structure their programs in a certain way where they're nearly predictable. So the way we do that is what I call the predictable influence pyramid. And it's very simple. Think of it, visualize a pyramid. It has 3 layers to it. At the base layer is a seeding or a gifting program where you're sending, let's say, hundreds of free products out. Let's say 100 free products out every month to creators who you want to be part of your community. Again, the North Star is always, let's not forget, is to build that owned influencer community, right? So you're seeding product. Then what happens is when you seed product, some of those people are going to post about you. If you're using Saral and all of the automations that we have, roughly 50 to 70% of the people that you seed for free will post about you for free, like no commitment, no payments. Then you take the people who've expressed their interest by posting about you and turn them into affiliates. Now, affiliate programs can have different flavors, right? If you're on Amazon, you can have an Amazon affiliate. If you're on TikTok Shop, have a TikTok Shop affiliate. You can have a direct-to-consumer affiliate and all of that. So you basically are, what you're trying to do conceptually here is you're incentivizing the people who posted for free to keep posting about you again and again and making them affiliates for the brand so that they make money every time you make money. Then what you'll see, and I'm sure you see it with your TikTok shops also, is it's pretty much always like a 80-20 or a 90-10, where the top 20% of creators are going to drive 80% of the sales or the views. So then you take the top 10 or 20% and you put them on retainers, or you do deeper partnerships with them, where maybe you're doing a whitelisting deal, maybe they're committed to making a certain amount of content or number of posts every month. Maybe you're giving them a much higher percentage commission because they're such a high performer, or you're putting them on a retainer every month, and so on. So what you're doing essentially is, at every step of this pyramid, you're eliminating risk. You're at the first step, what most brands do is they flip the pyramid, right? They start paying creators, they start with an egregiously high commission percentage, and then if people don't post or they don't work out, then you just lose money, right? Versus with the pyramid, you're eliminating risk. The whole goal of the layers is to reduce the unpredictability and make it predictable at the top. So with seeding, you're sending free product. All you risk losing is the cost of goods for the people who don't post about you, which tends to be a minuscule percentage if you reach out to the right people. Then you reduce risk by you're not paying them again. You're only doing affiliate partnerships with them. So they're only making money. Like, you're only paying them once you're getting paid, right? So you have that affiliate layer. Now your even further risk is reduced. Now, who do you pay? Most brands start paying influencers, just whoever random based on analytics and so on. But there's literally no way to predict, even if they have the perfect audience as per your ideal customer persona, that they're going to sell for you. With the affiliate program, you can just see literally data like a table where you just, okay, like, these are our top 10 affiliates for the last 3 months. Let's do custom deals with them. Let's start paying them money. Let's give them a higher retainer or a higher percentage commission, and so on. So at every stage, you're eliminating risk and making it more predictable. And what you're almost building is this, like, if you visualize it as like a current through the seeding layer to the affiliate to the top of the pyramid, you're building like this fountain of creators that are just proving themselves to you and posting about you and building that owned influencer community without risking that much at every stage.
Absolutely, Yash, like 100% with you. The one thing that I'm going to add in here as well is that you need to be thinking with creators about what incentivizes them beyond just money, right? So a lot of times we'll just think about retainers, right? When really at the end of the day, there are so many other incentives that you can give to them, right? Like special, especially like use FOMO, use special sort of like, oh, hey, when you hit this certain level, you're going to, number one, be able to be a part of contests. Number two, we'd actually like you to be one of the faces of the brand, right? Like those sorts of items and like, even as far as like equity is concerned, right? If you want to get them in and like get them to actually be an owner, like those are some really, really big things. Yash, I want to talk about the Saral creator selection math. What exactly are you looking for that goes beyond, just follower count? Like, what are the inputs that you're looking at?
Follower count is one. When you're seeding, you want to go after the people who are, less than 50,000 followers. Obviously, you want to go after people who are posting about the topics that you're posting about. You can also go after people who are posting on the topics that your ideal customer is interested in or the problems your ideal customer is having. So topical interest, size. Naturally, we're also going to look at engagement rate. Growth rate is a good metric, by the way, because you can get some really early gems that haven't, really popped off and gone beyond that, say, 50,000 follower limit. But then if they have a very high growth, somebody has that, let's say 15,000 followers with a 15-20% month-on-month growth rate, you can work with them in 3 months. They're already beyond 50K, right? So then, you can look at those metrics like that. Obviously, we also look at more like vibe-based metric. Like, it's not a metric necessarily, but are they already creating content that your brand can just naturally fit into, or do they have to like change their behavior or change their style of content to incorporate your brand? That's a much tougher conversation. Yeah.
This is a really important point that we need to dive into, because I think the issue, and I think the reason why so many brands don't get this and don't get it on TikTok Shop either, is because they're so used to just pressing buttons, right? It's like, oh, okay, is this Facebook ad working? No, okay, let's look at the numbers. That's not how it works in this world. That is not how it works.
Correct. Yeah, you really have to do a real performance marketers really struggle with influencer marketing because it's such a different mindset where like, for example, in an ad, like you said, if an ad is not working and it's not getting enough views or enough sales, you just turn it off. Versus with creators, you can't really do that because you don't know, like if you have 50 creators and you don't know even if you track affiliate links, you don't know if there's the other 4 creators who posted and nurtured the person to then finally buy from that one affiliate, which is why looking at it from a community level is so important. So when you do your analysis and your ROI and all of that, figuring all of that out, look at it as a community, not like an individual. Don't treat influencers like they're not ads, right? So yeah.
Absolutely. How do you deal with fraud and quality control? Like, how do you detect fake followers and engagement to make sure that you're keeping like a clean roster and you're not just like, oh, great, they have this great engagement group? Like, how do you actually go through that?
Yes, a lot of tech behind it, a lot of painful engineering hours spent behind all of that because we want to keep we have a search
so you
engine.
guys actually do this at Saral?
Yes.
Awesome.
So yeah. So one of the things is, so we have a search engine. So I'll give you the pros and the cons, right? We started out building a search engine. We did not want to build a database of creators because what we found is if we build a database, we are then restricting the brands that are on our platform by the creators that we could find. Versus we have direct integrations with the platform. So we can then basically, if they're on Instagram or TikTok or YouTube, you can find them on Saral, right? The downside to that is there's a lot of quality issues where there's obviously people with fake followers, bot accounts, inactive accounts, so people who've maybe purchased followers before, are very famous now, but are consistently posting. There's like so many flavors to this. So we have tech mechanisms in place that just naturally eliminate some of the basics, right? Like, hey, do they have a high fake follower? Do they have more than 25%, like is more than 1/4 of their audience fake? Get rid of them. And then we also look for,
because there will be fake followers with everyone will have fake followers, and it's not like the influencer can do much about that.
Correct. Yeah. But then if it's much higher than say 20%, you can be a little bit suspicious that, hey, that's
totally. Yeah, exactly. Yes.
Yeah. So we do all of that processing on our end. And then on top of that, obviously, like we also show on the front end for brands who are doing this, like, hey, positive metrics, like what's their average, what's the median engagement they're getting in their niche based on other creators. So, hey, is it 2%? People come and ask us like, hey, what sort of engagement rate should we look at? It's like, it really depends on the niche of the creator, right? An engagement rate of say 2% in the beauty niche is really bad, but in the say fitness niche, it's really good. So how do you determine that? It's very subjective. So we have metrics around that. Like we'll show you if this creator's performing higher or above or below the median. We'll show you things like what percentage of their followers are not fake but are mass followers, which means people who follow more than 3,000 people, right? If somebody's following more than 3,000 people, they could be real, but each incremental follow is worth that much less. So then we'll rank the creator a little bit lower, and so on.
It's so like on Twitter, if you see someone like someone famous that follows like 100 people and you're like, they're following me? What?
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
That's wild. There's so much power in that.
Correct. And that's the opposite on like Instagram, for instance, where people just keep following people and then every incremental follow is not worth much because they're most likely not going to see this person's content, even if they are following them. So we look at a lot of metrics like that and surface that for brands to filter by and look at on their screen when they're prospecting.
Walk me through marketplace, the decision to have a marketplace versus an operating system. Why does direct to creator structurally matter to you versus marketplace?
Yeah, I think so. I used to run an influencer agency before, which is how we sort of came.
I don't even think I knew that. That's so funny.
Yeah.
We talked for. I didn't even know that was part of your like genesis.
Yeah. So I used to run an influencer agency. We've built seeding programs. We've done all of this in spreadsheets and Trello boards and so on. So we kind of felt the pain, and we built Saral almost as an internal tool first, and then we kind of spun it out once we saw how powerful it was. Anyway, so when we had a clear decision to make. Do we go the marketplace route, or do we help brands build what we call DTC or direct to creator relationships? And we just knew that we as a marketplace did not want to restrict brands by just the creators whom we have on our marketplace, because there's no chance in the world that I'm going to have every single creator on Instagram signed up on my marketplace, but I can integrate with them and I can have these people accessible with their contact info so brands can make direct contact with them. And I generally do not, when we were at the agency, we did not like platforms that used to act as middlemen, and if we want to cancel, then we lose all of our relationships and things like that. Versus on Saral, it's all direct to creator. It's in your email, they're in your DMs. So even if you stop using the platform,
you own the
instance,
creators
again,
that are in there.
being true to that owned influencer community mindset.
Yeah, really, really important in my mind, and again, why I've been such a big Saral fan. Talk me through, what does the next 24 months of influencer marketing look like? We're going through these big shifts. I'm seeing on my side, investments that we're making into live shopping, obviously into TikTok Shop. We see, hints of Walmart Live and Amazon Live. We see all of that sort of happening on this side. I mean, it's funny because I always said to myself or about myself, I'm like, I always like kind of catch the wave like up here. And I've realized, that's actually not true. We on social commerce and just in general, I've kind of looked and been like, oh yeah, Shopify super early on all this stuff. I just didn't really realize it. I think particularly in influencer and social commerce world, I mean, my mind is boggling right now with what is to come. And even like when I talk to people, they're just like blank face. I'm like, oh, we're that far apart from each other and what we understand the future to be. Walk me through what you think the next 24 months looks like.
Yeah, I think we're going to see, naturally, I just think brands are going to move more from, at least in terms of budget allocation, allocate more budget towards an owned channel such as influencer marketing over paid media, especially as acquisition costs keep rising, differentiation becomes harder. By the way, good thing about a community is it can literally set your product apart. Like, what's the difference between, brand A lipstick and brand B lipstick? Brand A is repped by Kylie Jenner. Brand B, nobody knows about. Maybe even the product is better, but people are only going to buy the stuff that everyone's recommending. Right? So it almost becomes like a community moat. Yeah.
We are really cheap. And when you can understand that and be like, I influence so easily on this stuff that like, it's the quality product. It's like, it's not that quality product. Like, sure. You can pick out the quality, but like that's not what it is. It's our brains, right? Like
we're extremely social. I don't know. One of the videos that comes to mind is, I don't know if you've seen this, but I'm sure some people have. It's that there's like, it's like a park. It's a video in a park, and this one guy starts dancing, and then everyone's kind of looking at him, and then like another person joins, and then like it's this whole group, like this whole park starts dancing, because this one guy just stood there, and this just shows that we are such mimetic creatures that we wanna almost like look at this, someone doing some weird stuff, but then as more and more people join, everybody joins the party, right? So I think
it's the same thing when you look at something, right? If you're in an area and somebody looks
up,
you're like,
up.
I must look up too. I must look up, and like, exactly. And I even know that it's happening in the moment, and I'm like, I don't care. I'm looking up. What could be going on?
Yeah, exactly. Totally. I think the whole psychology behind this is so interesting, because I know we want to talk about the future, but to talk about the future, I think you always have to look at, a lot of people ask what has changed, what's going to change, but what's not going to change is people are always going to trust other people's recommendations about products. I think it's like word of mouth is the oldest marketing channel ever. Like, it's the, from before paid media, from like one of the first businesses that ever started, 5,000 years ago in ancient Rome or ancient India, I don't know. The only marketing channel they had was word of mouth, right? So, that's the marketing channel, and this is just the modern manifestation of that, where it's, instead of one person talking to 5 of their friends or colleagues, it's one person talking to 50,000 of their fans on social. So I think that behavior is not going to change. How it manifests and how brands are going to leverage that and tap into that keeps on evolving. I think one of the things that comes to mind is, that you also discussed, is equity deals. We are seeing a lot more interest in equity deals from some of our like highest performing brands, and usually these brands tend to be like 12 months ahead of the rest of the game, 12 to 18 months ahead. So like, I think we're going to see a lot more of equity deals with creators that kind of graduate through this pyramid of process and then become such good, deep partners for the brand that the brands want to give them equity, or the creators even at times want to invest in the brands that they're promoting. So we're definitely seeing that, yeah.
I was going to say one of the things that most brand owners don't understand, the fundamental thing that they do not understand is the classic Naval quote, right? Which is like there's two pieces of leverage in this world, code and media, right? And most brand owners don't understand that because they don't do anything about code. They like nothing, right? And then number two, they don't even own their own media. So brands, understand that you're missing the two biggest pieces of leverage, those two things, right? And so if you can't build your own media, you need to find someone else. And that is exactly what we're talking about here. Yash, so these are very personal relationships, right? With creators and influencers. And where does AI come into this? Where is AI as a teammate in all of this?
Yeah, I mean, we have an AI agent called Sia that does a lot of the grunt work now of, let's say, like, I think AI, I don't think it's
And is Sia based off of like the artist Sia, or like where did the name come from? What does it stand for?
Saral Influencer Assistant is what Sia means. Not that Sia.
Not like the chandelier Sia. I think that's
no, not that one. But we would love to give Sia's voice one day. Let's see.
Okay.
Once it's a voice agent. But yeah, I think AI and influencer marketing will help marketers, one, eliminate a lot of the grunt work that when it comes to influencer marketing. Let's say go review their, like go vibe check their profile, for instance. Like if you want to do that 100 times, that gets a little bit difficult. You can train AI to do that now. So we're also working towards, yeah. So, stuff like that. I think AI will take away everything but the relationship long term, right? 24 months. So like the only thing that you focus on is how do we build deep long-term relationships with our creator community, which is great because that's what matters. That's the human stuff that matters. Everything else that you do that's manual grunt work kind of serves that objective anyway. So if AI is taking care of that, yeah, everything else except the relationship is admin work.
And there's no value in that. I just want to let everyone know, and I'm sorry if you're an admin person, but like the admin portion, there's no real value added. That's the thing that like grinds the gears, right? Where you're like, we just got to get through this admin stuff.
Yes, yeah, you're almost like swimming through that to get to the real stuff, and AI can do that now pretty much, and at least in 24 months it definitely can. It's getting better every month, and we are incorporating it. So yeah, we really want to fast track the time to a relationship. So everything that AI can abstract away until the brand gets to a good relationship with a person, that's where we see AI going.
Yash, what did I forget to ask you today? What do you wish I asked you that I didn't?
What do I wish you asked me that you didn't? I think as you build communities, brands have to, measurement is like one area. Like maybe we could do a separate podcast on this, by the way. But as you, it's to the point about performance versus like owned media. It's when you're a performance marketer, you tend to measure things using clicks, using metrics. With owned media, you almost have to look at it differently, where you're measuring different things. Like revenue, sure, but you're measuring halo effects across your awareness channel. How do you measure when 50 influencers posted about you last week and then the conversion rate on your Facebook ads doubled? Right? You don't credit that to a better ad. You credit that to your own influencer community, right? So I think there's like different ways.
We should do an integration. Yeah. Let's figure out some kind of integration with Halo, the new tool that I'm launching, because I think that this is really interesting. I think that if we could somehow plug Saral into that as well, and so that brands could actually start to see, the best investment that I have is in these different channels, right? Like just, again, look at the biggest brands in the world and where they're putting their money. They're putting it into influencers, mega influencers, podcasters, all of these people that have trust. Good luck tracking that down to the click, right? Like, good luck. There's this whole class of marketer that's grown up on looking at those kinds of metrics. And it's like, you think that humans, the most impactful thing is right after this interview, I'm so right before this interview, by the way, I said, Yash, I got the coolest tool in the world. It's the DJI Osmo 3, and it is literally the coolest tool that I have ever purchased before for content creation. Everyone can see it here, right? I'm not getting paid for this. There's nothing like I'm recording us here, like as we're live. And I told him about this. No one is going to get attribution for that, guys. No one.
Yeah. Someone's going to buy a DJI Osmo from this podcast, and DJI is going to be like, oh, it's going to show up as organic search. But it's, it's you talking about it.
100% somebody will buy this because they're like, oh, that's a sweet content creation tool, right? But DJI is not getting anything from this whole conversation. Yash, but before we go, walk me through a brand that has really understood what we're talking about here and scaled their program. Because I want brand owners to understand, like, this isn't theory that we're talking about here. This is real, like, there's real numbers to this. There's brands that have scaled massively doing this and using Saral, the influencer OS, right? Like how, who that you can talk about has done this?
Yeah, I mean, so many really good brands on Saral right now, ranging from different. Some of the names that come to mind are like Obvi is a good one. Groons is really good, really growing massively, right?
Oh, do they
Groons
use Saral, Groons?
Yeah.
Just,
Groons
guys,
has
go
been
look
one of
into
our
what they are
oldest.
doing.
Yeah, exactly. Go look at what they're doing because they're
Aren't
one
they like
of our
the fastest growing like brand that has
Yeah.
been in the last like 20 years or something?
Yes,
Like I've seen the numbers
yes.
of Groons and it's like,
Yep,
whoa,
it's
it is a
crazy.
hockey stick, guys.
Yeah, exactly. And here's the kicker. They've been using Saral since the very early days when we were literally just a search platform. Like that's what we did.
Wow.
So for the last
That is
2
cool.
years, they've been building it, and you see the compounding. I'm not saying like, they're getting a lot of things right. This is one of the things that they're getting really right, is they've just been so focused on the creator program and the seeding and the affiliate and everything else that they're doing from basically what was day one for them. So yeah.
I look at the South Star right now of Lululemon, right? Of what is happening to Lulu, and their stock and all of the things. And I love Lululemon clothing. I absolutely do. But I look and see what they're doing, and I think to myself, oh, that's the old way. That's the old way, right? They're very brand conscious, right? There's very few, like, yes, they have their whole, like, all of the yoga instructors, that's their content creators, but it's very, very tight, right? The way that it is, rather than this new world, right? It's this new world of finding creators and letting creators talk for themselves about your product, because whether you like it or not, you can't control the conversation. 2026 and beyond, you can't control the conversation. I'm sorry.
Correct. Yeah. And you have to almost relinquish that control to feel the impact that it can have. If you try to force too much of the conversation, it's going to defeat the purpose. Because that's not why you're working with creators in the first place. You're working with them for their authentic voice. You almost want them to say like, hey, I love this product for the most part, but you know what? When I use this Osmo and it's snowing, it kind of slips from my hand, but overall it's really good. That's such a more authentic promotion than like sort of, what is the best camera ever and no flaws whatsoever. That's just hard to believe. Every marketing message, again, going back to fundamentals, at the core has to be believable, right? If you start sending off, $10,000 Ferrari, no one's going to buy it because it's so unbelievable.
Nailed it. Yash, I got to ask you the question I ask everyone who comes on the podcast. What is your secret to scaling?
What's my secret to scaling? One of our core values at Saral is systems thinking. So we really make everyone think in systems. Any problem that happens, we do a reflection in our one-on-ones about, hey, what system do we need to have in place to ensure this never happens again? So systems are like one of the 4 core values we have at Saral, and I think our secret to scale is setting the right systems. And then again, this has multiple flavors. Obviously, we're using AI, we're using Zapier and all of those tools. But at the core, foundationally, it's systems thinking.
Those tools are just magnifications of either great systems or shitty systems. So, right? Like that absolutely, I cannot say that enough. For anyone running a business out there, there's 2 things, people and process. That's it, right? You either have the wrong process or the wrong people. And usually it's the wrong process. You keep firing the same person. And you're like, oh, maybe it's not the person. Maybe it's me. Yeah. And usually as the owner, you're the one that needs to be putting those processes in place or putting getting your team to do that stuff. Yash, where can people find out more about you and more about Saral? And then, do we have a discount code? I should have asked you about that before.
Yeah, I mean, just reach out to us. Go to getsaral.com. We, by the way, have great content on the website. If you go to a resources section, there's tons more about owned communities, how to measurement and different things. So definitely go check us out. Whenever you all are ready, book a call with me or my team, and then just say that you came via Jordan, and we'll take care of you, discounts and more. So yeah.
Awesome. Yash, always a pleasure. Love that we get to have this conversation. We fit it in our 2 time zones absolutely perfectly. So thank you. This was an absolute blast.
Thank you. Appreciate you having me on.